Jeffrey looks like a soft modern man with his fat stomachs, his man boobs and his skinny arms. He barely has any facial hair, he has pimples and a weak recessed jawline. But Jeffrey wants to be treated like a man. He gets pissed off that other men don't respect him, but why would they? Look at him and judge for yourself whether you'd respect someone like Jeffrey. Adonis looks strong. His massive biceps take up your field of view. And just look at that jawline. Adonis is the perfect example of a masculine looking man. And you can imagine just what benefits to looking like this would be for you. I don't want to waste your time like most YouTubers would do, where they'll make you wait for like 15 minutes of the video before they tell you. The most important way to look more masculine is to bulk up, which means eating more, whilst building muscle in the gym so that you get this masculine frame. But there's certain muscles which you're not currently prioritizing which will make you look more masculine, which I'll explain soon. I was still really skinny and underweight when I was 18 years old, so I was like 6 months into weightlifting and bulking, but I literally weighed honestly like 140 pounds. And I'm 6'1". I weighed 140 pounds. Like, that's not far from being anorexic. And I remember going out to clubs and parties, and there was it's fucking like hurtful when I think back at it, but like almost every night out that I would go to, there would be some kind of like beef where some guy would just walk past me and like push me in the shoulder. I remember there would be like fairly often times when I'd be speaking to someone, I'd be speaking to a girl, and a bigger guy would come up out of nowhere and just kind of overtake the conversation. And the worst thing would be when you'd actually see that the girl was now paying more attention to him, and I just kind of like slink away. You know what I learned about this? Not looking masculine sucks. And there's all these Jeffreys that will criticize us and say that we're cringe for wanting to look more masculine. Oh, look at these guys who are trying to be more like alpha male. Like, shut the fuck up, bro. This is very important, and we need to admit that we want the things that comes from looking more masculine. But Hamza, trying to change your looks is shallow and inauthentic. I don't think so. We should be naturally more masculine with higher testosterone. But you and I both know that the modern world isn't very optimized for men. We should be more manly, we should look more like men, but we don't. It's actually authentic for us and natural for us to want to be more like the men that we should be. So here's the practical, no BS specific advice that you can implement to look more masculine. The single best thing that you can do is bulk up. So in weightlifting, there's this term of bulking. You probably know about it, which is essentially just eat more, eat in a calorie surplus, which will make you gain weight. Now, if you're just doing that, then you'll literally just gain fat, and that's not what we want. But if you're weightlifting or you're doing some kind of resistance training, like calisthenics, gymnastics, whatever, if you're doing something that builds muscle and then you bulk up, you'll build an incredible amount of muscle with some fat, but your entire frame will just broaden out. You'll look way more built like a man. What you want as a young man who wants to look more manly, you want your body weight to be as high as possible without getting too fat. If you're an average height guy, if you're like 5'9" and your body weight is like 150 pounds, 160 pounds, we want to push that closer to like 180. I'm 6'1". My bulk goal, this bulk that I'm on right now, is 210 pounds. The highest that I've ever been before is 180 pounds. So you're literally going to see me over the next like 6 to 9 months to 1 year, literally be the biggest that I've ever been before. And I guarantee just within an instant, you will look at me and just see it. I look more masculine. Of course I do. Imagine right now, imagine your body weight. So you know when you step on a scale, what number does it say roughly? Imagine if you just increase that by 20%. 30% over the next year, 2 years of like bulking slowly, eating clean. You do that whilst training hard, whilst building muscle, your frame is just going to be way bigger. If there's one thing that characterizes like a masculine looking guy, it's literally just the size of his body. But there are really important muscles which are really overlooked in like pretty much every single workout. I've never seen a workout routine that has one of the most important muscles for looking more masculine. And that's the neck. Your neck is full of a bunch of different muscles that you can safely train. And I know it sounds silly as fuck if you've never like trained your neck before, if you've never seen neck training before, because no one talks about it, no one does it in the gym. But your neck is like an incredible body part to grow. If there's one muscle that makes you look more masculine, it's your neck. Have you seen pictures of Mike Tyson in his prime? Like, that was a guy who trained neck. He trained it for the purposeful reason of fighting. So when you train your neck with this kind of motion, essentially what you're doing is training it so that when you do get punched, you don't get that sort of whiplash effect that often knocks people out. That's like a side benefit for what we're doing here. But just having this like bigger, girthier neck gives you this look that you are just so much like thicker and bigger all over. So many guys train their entire bodies apart from their necks, apart from certain muscles like their forearms and their calves. And so they've got like this weirdly like big but small body at the same time. There's a bunch of fitness influencers and guys who have been going to the gym for years who have done this, who like have never trained like the small, this is what you need to do to look more masculine. It's like these small muscles that often most people overlook. Everyone's training chest, right? I don't need to tell you like, oh yeah, train chest, you're gonna train chest. But the majority of people aren't training forearms. The majority of people aren't adding lots of sets for traps because all these lazy motherfuckers are just saying like, oh well, deadlifts, shut the fuck up. These dumbasses, these fitness influencers and all these like lazy motherfuckers online will tell you that deadlifts hits everything. Oh, you don't need to train abs deadlifts. Well, you don't need to train neck deadlifts. Well, you don't need to meditate deadlifts. Shut the fuck. Fucking deadlift Andes, bro. Yeah, 100% do deadlifts. It's fun as fuck. But you need to train your neck separately if you want to look masculine. You need to train your forearms separately if you want to look masculine. There's a bunch of guys who've got muscular physiques and then they still have like the skinny forearms that they started with. Imagine how weird that looks. There's a bunch of guys who've got muscular physiques, but they've never trained their neck, so they've got like a weird looking pencil neck. I was doing this with calves, and so it's like I've got somewhat of a built physique. It's quite nice. I've got some decent size, but my calves are just fucking small because I coped for so long and said, oh, it's genetics. I can't. Shut the fuck up. Now I'm doing 4 sets every workout. These are the most important muscles to looking more masculine. Neck, upper traps, upper chest, lats, forearms, and your legs in general. Legs is often overmissed and a lot of guys think you don't need to train legs. But if you literally think about the masculine, like the strong look, you can't really look strong with skinny legs. But there is a certain muscle in your legs that has the highest ROI, and it's not what you're thinking. Every gym bro who says, oh, I love leg day, they're talking about quads. Every single gym bro is like, oh, big quads, because that's like the front angle that you see in the mirror. The most important muscle in terms of looking strong in legs is actually your glutes. Truly, it's your glutes, your ass. Oh, I'm not gay. Shut the fuck up. When you train your glutes, it gives you, like, it's so weird, right? The glute is literally the muscle of your butt, but as soon as you've developed them, I swear to God, it's so weird. It's like the rest of your physique literally takes full shape without training your. I know a bunch of guys who go to the gym, they do some legs, but they don't train glutes specifically, and they have this kind of like flat leg look where they can flex their quads and their quads have got separation, the quads look nice, but if you look at them from like the side or from far away, they look like just kind of skinny guys, like weak guys. But then I know some guys who do heavy RDLs, Romanian deadlifts, or heavy hip thrusts, and you literally look at them and you're like, from a distance away, you can tell that's a strong motherfucker. The majority of like weak, fragile guys don't do these exercises because they're supposed to be for girls. But there's videos of me hitting 230 kg leg press, and motherfuckers are scared of looking. Bro, how do I look like a girl when I'm doing this shit? I look strong as fuck. The amount of comments I get on my glutes of people say like, yo, like Hamza's caked up and like, you know, he's got ass and stuff. And of course people are saying it just for the sake of the joke and everything. But it really fucking like, it stands out when a guy has developed his legs, because the majority of guys skip legs. But specifically your glute is like, your glutes are kind of like the shoulders of your legs. Does that make sense? Like your shoulder separates your arms. So once you develop your shoulder, it's like your upper body just looks so much more muscular because you have that kind of separation from your arm. Otherwise, if you don't have that separation, your arm kind of looks like just straight. Your glute does the same thing, where if you don't train your glutes, your legs just look straight. If you do train your glutes, it has like a bit of a shape. And I know what you're thinking about the advice I gave just before this about bulking and getting heavier, that being lean is like really nice. You know, having abs, being lean for like pictures and Instagram, it is awesome, 100%. But your priority should be to bulk up first, to get to a really good body weight, to build up a bunch of muscle and strength, and then cut down after that. I've wasted way too much of my training time cutting before I actually should have, just because I had like ab anxiety. Like I was still small, like, you know, from a bit of a distance away, you'd literally think I was a skinny guy, but I'd be like there, like staring at myself for like, oh no, I've gained a little bit of fat on my stomach, maybe I should cut again. Shut the fuck up. You want to know whether you should bulk or cut? Just ask yourself, if someone was stood 10 meters away from you, would they think you were fat? If the answer is no, shut the fuck up and bulk. An interesting thing that you can do to look more masculine is mewing. Mewing has like this circle jerk online. Like mewing videos get a lot of views because a lot of people, it's kind of like nofap. A lot of people are like, oh my god, mewing. But it does really work. So mewing is kind of like the opposite of mouth breathing. I was a mouth breather for most of my life, and when I was a mouth breather, my face was like less masculine developed. If I said this to myself a few years ago, I wouldn't have believed it, and I would have thought that this was some, you know, like fake shit, or he's lying, or it's just luck or something. But I truly am like a believer of the importance of mewing, but I do it in a natural way now. So you can see pictures of me when I was in high school, and I already hit puberty. I'm like 16 years old, 17 years, but I have like this chubby cheek. I'm even lean in some of these pictures, but I have like these chubby cheeks and this kind of like just weak facially developed face. And I was always a mouth breather. I've always had like allergies, and you know, I'm like the kind of guy who like sneezes like 10, 15 times at once. Do you know when you go like achoo, achoo, like that shit? I've always been like that when I was a teenager, because we got like hamsters and rabbits and I was always allergic to them. Mewing is like a whole separate topic. It might be something that you're interested in, and I'm gonna have a guide on how to mew properly, on how I did it with like no bullshit. advice, and that'll be on my channel soon, so you can look out for that. There's other things that will make you look more masculine, but I don't want to waste your time with them. Like, oh, step number 7, grow a beard. You knew that already. I don't want to waste your time, but there is a couple of things that would have some kind of benefit, which you might not have thought of. One of them is more sophisticated, masculine, powerful styles of clothing. There's a book, I forgot the author, but the book is called The Appearance of Power. I think the author's name is like Tan something, The Appearance of Power. We'll have it up on screen. And in this book, there's still something I remember to this day, right? Essentially, it says that there's 3 types of like masculine styles of dress. There is the refined, the rugged, and something to do with like outcast. You need to find your style, and there's 3 styles. One of them is to do with like being kind of like a gentleman who does well in society. So it's like, what kind of man is like doing really well? Oh, he's wearing a suit and he's got a really good job and he's got a family. The second one is more like masculine style, so you're wearing something that's a bit more like badass, so it could be like a leather jacket. And then the third one is like total sort of social outcast, I don't give a fuck about anything. So that, in my perception of it, was like a goth style, you know, with like long like what's that shit called, mohawk with like green, you know, like a style that's almost antithetical to society. So there's 3 masculine styles, and the author was saying that you should try and like experiment, find your style, find like what your purpose and your sort of direction is. Are you someone who's totally being aligned to society and you want to climb up the normal societal standards? So it's like, oh well, you know, I want to get a good job, I want to perform well in the education system, I want to seem like a nice gentleman. Or are you someone who wants to be a bit more outlandish and you're a bit more like rugged? When I think of this, I imagine like a guy on like a Harley Davidson not really giving a fuck that his bike is like so loud. And then it's the total outcast, which is just like, oh yeah, you don't give a fuck, you'll literally just like tattoo your entire face and everything, not caring about what society deems normal. I learned something from this book, which is still in my mind, that men look more powerful and successful when they wear a minimal branded logo on like their shirts, like their clothes. So the idea was that men need to stop wearing like this fucking like cringe type of like fucking cringe type of clothing. A lot of guys wear like clothes that have just got like pictures and shit all over, you know, like a t-shirt with like pictures on it, and it's like a picture of a girl, or it's like, you know, just weird shit on it. It's like, you should be wearing just simple stuff, simple, and it's just got like a brand logo, which is like an easily identifiable, quite like nice brand that like a lot of people know, which is like, oh, Nike, Gymshark, Ralph, I don't know, like a bunch of these. But essentially, if you have that, you'll be seen as like a little bit more powerful and successful. That's what I remember from this book. The final way that I can think of to look more masculine is with body language, because chances are, if you're watching a video like this and you're a young man, your body language could be improved. Your body language, now this doesn't mean like straight away you're like, oh yeah, body language, let me sit up, shut the fuck up, right? Body language is a weird one, man. Honestly, I could spend a few seconds here and say like, oh, you know, well, stand up straight with your shoulders back, but it's not going to help you. I said once, I've made a class, a Skillshare class. This isn't about that, but I made a Skillshare class. But inside of a lesson there, I spoke about body language in terms of social skills and, you know, like being in social situations around other people. And I gave this fantastic piece of advice. I said that your body language is actually just a reflection of the rest of your life. So chances are you've watched a bunch of those cringe videos, which is like, oh, body language, 7 ways to have alpha male body. You've watched those videos, haven't you? 7 ways to have alpha male body language and all the fucking cringe shit, right? How to improve it. You've watched all them. I have too. It's fucking cringe. We know it. The reason why it's so cringe is because it's totally inauthentic. Your body language, your natural body language when you're AFK, when you're not thinking about anything, that is literally like your authentic body language. It's like your brain and your body connect together to have like the posture and the body language that you actually deserve depending on your place in the social hierarchy. Does this make sense? Because this is fucking interesting. And so if you catch yourself often with poor body language, that means you literally perceive yourself to be low in the social hierarchy. Because when you're higher in the social hierarchy, you automatically improve your body language. The king always has fantastic body language. I'm sure there's a level of like practice and rehearsal for this. I'm sure like royalty, like kings and queens were all, like, you know, from young childhood were taught, you know, you're a king, so stand up straight. So it's like the power of belief, and then, you know, this whole, this is how you use cutlery properly, and you always stand, you know, you sit up straight and you don't put your elbows on the table when you're eating food or something. But generally, your body language is just gonna be your natural response to your life's experiences so far. And so you probably do have like this poor, pathetic, weak man's body language because you haven't done that much stuff with your life. You haven't accomplished that much. You're not a leader in maybe any sense of the word. And so how do you expect yourself to have authentic masculine body language? You can't have masculine body language by faking it. And a lot of people suggest that, like, oh, just fake it till you make it. And there is some validity to that. But you want the unsexy answer instead of me just sugarcoating to help your feelings so that you feel better after this video, and maybe you'll like click the like button and some bullshit to think that your problem's going to be resolved within like a 20-minute video. But the truth is, if you want to look more masculine, you have to be more masculine. If you want to look more like a man, you have to start living more like a man. And that is no easy pursuit. So will you go through the discomfort of being more like a man? Will you go out there and face challenges? Will you lead a tribe of your own? Will you go and do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it? The choice is yours.